Do you want to do more than follow orders? Think outside of the box and manifest your dreams? Then you've come to the right show. Welcome to the award-winning podcast, Holding Down the Fort by US VetWealth. I'm your host, Jen Amos, a Gold Star daughter, veteran spouse, and entrepreneur. For Season 9, we continue our partnership with the Rosie Network to highlight motivational stories of personal growth, financial awareness, and autonomy in our military community. We're also excited to continue showcasing our partnership with Blue Water Advisors. Now, let's get started. All right, everyone, welcome back. And welcome back to, the second to last episode of Holding Down the Fort by US VetWealth, Season 9. This season feels like it flew by pretty fast. I don't know about you, but it felt like it was pretty fast for me. And this is a shorter season. In fact, you'll get some insight as to why in today's episode. So far this season, we had the pleasure of interviewing our service to CEO graduates from the Rosie Network. I've introduced you all to Mike Seabolt, who is our life insurance case design specialist at US VetWealth. You've seen him twice on the show. And in case you don't know who I'm talking about, that is episode 208 and 212, the episode before this. And Mike Seabolt is different from Mike Wallace, by the way. Mike Wallace, he is our business partner at Blue Water Advisors. And so Mike Seabolt works with us here at US VetWealth. And yeah, it's been a pretty cool season of, having a mix of, the Rosie Network featuring people from US VetWealth and our partners at Blue Water Advisors. And now I'm excited to bring back some familiar faces, which are past guests from Season 7. So if you don't know them, Keyani Washington, she is from episode 153. That was well over a year ago. Again, Season 7. If you want to check her out, Keyani Washington, the title is episode 153, Put on Your Freaking Shoes and Walk. Keyani Washington's journey from hairstylist to skin and hair wellness. So that's Keyani. And we also are bringing back in this conversation, Dr. Kenneth Gay. Dr. Kenneth Gay, he was episode 161. This was also last year in 2023. His episode is titled 161, You Only Get One Life to Live. Whatever brings you life and energy, do it. Dr. Kenneth Gay's complementary careers in military and education. And so the reason why we are bringing back these two people who clearly have different things that they focus on, but we're bringing them back because the thing that they have in common is their heavy involvement with the Rosie Network. So in this episode, Keyani and Ken come together to share their experiences, challenges, and rewarding moments in helping military-connected entrepreneurs through the Service to CEO program. They also share updates on their own business endeavors since we've had them on our show. So very exciting stuff, especially if you're interested in hearing what they've been up to. This is the episode to hear it. And they also highlight the benefits of leveraging opportunities like podcast for marketing purposes. In fact, I do want to thank Ken and Keyani for inviting me to host a workshop. I hosted a workshop a couple months ago in educating Service to CEO members on the benefits of, utilizing podcast shows for your marketing purposes. We hint at it here, and we also hint as to why we have a shorter season, which if you've been following me along this season, you'll know that I have no problem with that. I was pleasant. I was actually thoroughly grateful that the season has turned out the way that it has. But yeah, funny enough, before we started recording, I thought to myself, wait a minute, I'm inviting these two people together. Do they know each other? Turns out Keyani and Ken had talked a lot because of their involvement with the Rosie Network, and you'll get to hear that chemistry, the bantering in today's conversation. So Ken and Keyani, thank you again for coming back to the show for one and giving us updates on your journey in entrepreneurship and also talking about all the goodness that the Rosie Network's Service to CEO program continues to offer to aspiring military-connected entrepreneurs, and serving them in that way. So it's really good stuff. And I hope you enjoy it. And I will, hang out after the outro for my post commentary. Until then, enjoy listening or watching, because this episode 213, is available on YouTube as well. Check out the show notes of this episode to find out. All right, happy listening. All right, hey everyone, welcome back to another episode here at Holding Down the Fort by US VetWealth in collaboration with the Rosie Network and Blue Water Advisors. Today, I'm so excited because I get to put an emphasis on the Rosie Network today. And in the last 2 seasons, there's some people I've been fortunate to have reconnected with years later. But for the most part, I've been talking to a lot of new people. So this conversation today is exciting because I'm actually catching up with some people. So actually, these 2 particular guests, they were part of season 7 when we first began our partnership with the Rosie Network to feature the Service to CEO graduates. So let me go ahead and open up with Keyani. Keyani, welcome back to the show.
Hi.
Okay, so quick question. How's summer going for you?
Hot. It is hot out, like hot in Alabama. They need to put something in the atmosphere to change that. But yeah, it's hot.
Yeah, we need to figure out something, right? Yeah, I totally hear you. Like our HVAC isn't working, but luckily we have portable ACs. So we have I have one right here blasting pretty loudly right now. That's why I have my mic close to my mouth so you wouldn't hear I have 3 fans on, I kid you not. It's awful here. So I feel your pain. And of course, we're also excited to have Ken back to the show. Ken, welcome back. Same question to you. How's summer treating you?
Hey, you know what? I'm going to say this, Jen and Keyani. The summer has been going great. Living here in Houston, Texas, we recently got finished with Hurricane Boyle. It's either Boyle or Doyle. I can't remember which one, but I think it's Hurricane Boyle. But anywho, so a lot of people were out of power here in the Houston area. So I was out power close to a week. But I guess it was bonding time because when my power came back on, my sister, my brother-in-law, my little baby nephew that's 5, and my young adult daughter were all at my home until their power came back on. So it's very catching up with family. So I found myself as the power came on disappearing a little bit more so I could let them enjoy the space here in the air.
Yeah.
I'm by myself a lot. But other than that, summer has been great.
Yeah, you're just come on over. I need company anyway.
Yeah.
It's cooler here. Yeah, I have to tell you, summer is my least favorite season. If anyone asks me, what's your least favorite season, it's summer for a million reasons. I won't get into it. It'll take the entire conversation. But the weather is definitely part of it, the heat, the humidity, the large insects that come with it. So anyway, y'all know.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, while we bear the heat, let's go ahead and catch up with you both. So just curious, another quick question for you, Keyani, what's keeping you busy or excited about life nowadays? Just quick snapshot.
Basically just trying to figure out a new thing as far as working with the cosmetology school. So I've been helping a lot of students. They just kind of contact me. They have issues with their school. And so just trying to figure out how to incorporate that into my brand already of what I do for consumers directly. But I think I mastered it. So hopefully we'll get some flows with actually working closely with more schools.
Wow, that's very exciting. I remember our first conversation and just the natural progression of your career in the cosmetology industry and how you go from braiding to hair products to now you're teaching is what it sounds like, or helping with the educational side of it. And so it's really amazing to see your progression in your business. There's a book I recently finished, in case anyone is curious. It's called Mastery by Robert Greene. And the premise of the book is to figure out your vocation. So vocation can also be known as a divine calling. And a divine calling isn't necessarily a particular job title. It's more of a feeling of certain skills that can translate in different spaces and in different ways. And it sounds like you've been able to consistently translate everything that you do. But luckily for you, it's in the same industry.
It's in the same industry. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. And I'll have more questions to catch up here in a little bit. But Ken, same question to you. What keeps you busy and or excited about life nowadays?
Okay, so a couple of quick things. First is just working through my business with Kenneth Gay Education LLC. So I work with students, teachers, principals, counselors, and even parents just on social emotional learning skills. I'm helping them work through issues with behavior as well as academics. Still in the military, so I'm in the reserve. So I was recently promoted to colonel about 10 months ago now. So I'm currently right now the chief observer controller trainer for my unit. So I'm responsible for about 80 soldiers where we provide quality feedback and military decision-making process with units across the country, and working with Rosie Network. So I'm the alumni lead. So I constantly work to make sure we find programs and different things to help out our veterans. The only one new thing that I would add that probably hardly no one knows, they're going to be like, oh, wow, when they hear this, is that I'm actually back in school. So,
wow.
But you never forget, you never can give up on learning. So even though I have I have a doctorate degree, hey, you still have to learn. So actually right now, I'm getting my master's in counseling. So I'm working on 2 licensures dual, which one is a licensed marriage and family therapist, as well as a licensed professional counselor, because I thought one day, hey, I'm constantly working with educators as well as soldiers. And I'm like, I'm counseling already. I might as well get paid addition.
Yeah.
Might as well get credit for it.
I will get paid for it. So, but I'm back in school. So that's been very interesting, getting back into the habit of writing 5 to 10 page papers or what have you. So they're really their work life and school balance, and having the chance to talk to fellow peers online. So the great thing about it's online. So it's interesting listening to young adults as well as older adults who haven't been in school in a while, talking about the challenges as far as with work-life balance. So it's been very interesting to hear people's stories.
I mean, what's balance anyway? It's a myth. I like to say seasons. This is my season of being a workaholic. This is my season of rest. Like what's balance? I'm curious what have you found for you so far, Ken, like that makes you feel like, I don't want to use the word balance, but you have like a good handle on things.
Yeah. So people, and I almost, I know people gonna get on to them like, oh man, you're back in school. So my friends often and family members, the ones that know me close, know that I always try to make it a point to find things to do. Like at least once a week, I will stop and make sure that I go to the movies. I will make it a point to go spend time with whether family or loved ones or friends. And at least once a month on a weekend, I may travel. It being the Houston, Texas area, I'll drive down to Louisiana to hang out with friends or Dallas. So even though I'm doing work, I made it a point that you should never overwork yourself. And I try to have balance. So even when I'm doing these things, I know some things are going to lag at times, but I try to communicate to individuals, hey, might not be able to do it this time, but a couple of weeks from now, I'll be able to catch up with you. And I just kind of try to keep a running log, like a checklist of the people that are important in my life, that making sure that I'm at least spending time with them. And when I'm at least with them, even if they might not have the quantity of my time, I try to be intentional as far as with the quality, as far as putting my phone away and being present in the moment when I'm kind of dealing with people.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think that's incredibly admirable. It sounds like you are a man who loves movement and purpose and productivity, while also like organization. It sounds like you know how to give your undivided attention to every aspect of your life. And I think it's very commendable. And I think you wanting to, get into therapy is, to me, it seems like the natural next step for you because of this calm demeanor you give off, and the fact that you work with military service members and students, like not that they're different really, I guess, but it's just amazing what you're doing, and I just commend you. And I mean, this is why I'm so grateful for my collaboration with the Rosie Network, is because I realized in the seasons of doing the show, I was like I'm an entrepreneur. I need to be around other entrepreneurs. I need to know what they're doing. I need to get that energy and that inspiration. And so, people like you it adds to my many reasons of I can do this too. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Keyani, I want to turn it over to you. Sort of same question. I know you're focused on education right now, but do you feel like you have a lot going on, or what is, I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, give us a snapshot of an ideal typical schedule. How about that?
week.
I know I have to be very mindful because when people say typical schedule, it's never typical. So I'm like, okay, I got to choose my words like carefully here, but go ahead.
No. So, well, you don't know, but my son will be turning 2 on August the 1st. So
wow,
he's all over he's just everywhere, all things. He's just like pushing the limits and all the stuff. So, I try to make sure that I, of course, like do things with him and then, my husband and then, so it's like having to manage all that and still try to do business. And I thought about going to school. Mm-hmm. My old professor wants me to, and I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea right now, but just trying to do more as far as my son, because we're working with his speech. He's not speaking right now. So we're like trying to do different things. So I have like speech therapy with him at least once or twice a month. And then his intervention counselor will come. And then it's like, I try to do extra stuff with him. Like the VA here has a piano. So I'll take him up there. He likes just banging on the piano. So just trying to like do different things with him. So it's like trying to make sure that he has his time set up. And then, you got to make sure you have time for the husband. Then you still got to make time to like work in your business, work on your business, go network and talk to people and do stuff like that. So, and then like Ken, I try to make sure that it's a harder balance with like having children, husband and business, but I try to make sure I do something, even if it's like I had a VA counselor I started with a couple of years ago. And even though that issue is resolved, I just decided to keep her. Like, I'm like, just might as well keep going to therapy. Like, no need to stop.
Yeah.
So she was like, every so often, I need you to just go. Like, I don't care where you go. You just need to like go. So sometimes I'll feel that you need to go. And so we went to Florida for about a week, me and my son. And so we just kind of relaxed and, I just enjoyed everybody else enjoying him so I can enjoy my time to myself. So that's really just
like, yes, go play with him.
Yeah, like
catch up with him.
Yeah, like go. I'm gonna go do something else. So my typical is just really like a lot of just him and, house stuff and just really trying to, balance out working on the business, connecting with the schools. That's a whole headache in itself. Like if people only knew this industry, you'd be like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for really just like sharing just the humanity of what it's like to do everything that you're doing, with this common thread of trying to help military connected entrepreneurs and being entrepreneurs yourself. Keyani, when we spoke, you had a lot of and then moments when you were sharing your story. So any like latest and thens you want to share with us to update us on your journey?
There were a few, and they really involve like cosmetology students. So I kind of I don't even know how I really started, but just helping cosmetology students. And so they'll call me and they'll tell me like, or they'll reach out, email, whatever. And then they'll say, I'm having this issue with school. So my thing is to listen to what they're saying and try to like help them work through it. But a lot of times that calls for me to have to get in contact with the administrators of the school. And it's a whole rabbit hole that you go down, but it's crazy to when it's like, and then I have to have this conversation with this administrator that feels like they're doing the right thing. I'm going to air quote it all because they're not. And then I have to, it just gets aggravating because it's like I'm being repetitive in my words, like having to like go down the same, and then here comes another one and they're like, Miss Keyani, and I'm like, okay, and then there's another one and I'm like, okay. So it's like trying to coordinate with the leaders in this industry is like, I don't know, it's a headache, but they see things like from one perspective, but there's another perspective. So when you try to tell them like this, so it's frustrating and it continues to be like, and then I had to do this, and then I had to talk to this person, and then I had to do this with this, and then I had to re-talk about this that I already talked about 10 million times already. And I'm like putting the same type of content. Like every time somebody sees something that I put out on social media, it's the same thing. Like I'm saying, I had this conversation with a student. Then I had the conversation with administrator. It's like I'm telling you guys the same thing. Can we like stop with the,
Yeah. It sounds like they have a short memory span. They're like goldfish and they like forget what you say every 5 seconds.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like
yeah.
If I could like let somebody do like a day in the life of talking with a student and then talking with school administrators and then being the consumer on the other side, they would just be like, you know what? I'll figure it out on my own. Like I don't even need to go to any place to get my hair done. I'll just figure it out. Like,
yeah.
Forget it. But it's worth it to me when I see that the light bulb comes on for the student or the light bulb comes on for the administrator. Like it's worth it to go from there's a friction in the battle between the two to where something is meshing. It might not get fixed all at one time, but like something has meshed and they're willing to work to move forward. But a lot of times I'm like, okay, and then I had to tell you this, and then I had to do this and that.
I was going to say, when is the and then going to like get to some milestone at one point? So I'm glad to hear that light, when they have that light bulb moment, it's like a relief for you. I mean, it's not the end, it's an uphill battle, but you're like, okay.
We made some progress, we've been moving forward. So those are really like and then the always and then moments are the one with my 2-year-old, like
just on you. That's just on repeat. That's just
on repeat. Like, that will never ever change. Like, he's a character. So yeah.
Oh, I bet. And I hear terrible twos is a notorious time. So
he's not even 2 yet. And we've already started. Like, he does the craziest things. Like, he spits the liquid out of his mouth. And like, it doesn't matter where it goes. It's on the floors, on the shirt. Like, my mom was like, what is that? And you've been the parent longer than me. You tell me. Like,
yeah. So funny. Yeah. So Ken, when I say, and then it goes back to Keyani's story of, when she was trying to, on her entrepreneurial journey, she just had a lot of, I'm going to say speed bumps, a lot of obstacles. And so I want to turn that question over to you, especially since being promoted to colonel and, running Kenneth education. And then also like now studying, like when you were listening to Keyani's stories, has a number of and thens popped up in your head also?
Yeah, every now and then. I was going to tell you, look, me and Keyani are peers with the Rosie Network. So I've seen her handsome stuff. So she's out. So at times we've had meetings. So I've had a chance to see him on a couple of occasions via Zoom. So always good to see him when he's with his mother. So I've had a chance to see him quite a few times. So, but I was going to, just to kind of go into what you were just sharing, I guess on the military side, on the Army Reserve side, I was very excited and gratitude, having the opportunity to make the rank of colonel. So I've had the opportunity to kind of just work with a couple of great people and different units. And I just shortly just share, I guess one of the good missions that I had is that I had the opportunity to go to South Korea for a particular mission with some soldiers. So I was there probably about a month and a half, close to 2 months. So I had a chance to work closely with some of our counterparts in South Korea. And so it was just very unique experience. It was my first time going to South Korea. So it was very different from the food, just from the culture and just learning so much and even some of the communication barriers. But it was very interesting that they had so many soldiers with the South Korean Army. There are branches that actually at some point moved to America, whether it been for high school or some of them still in college, but they had an obligation to go back to their home country, during the summer and sometimes provide their military service. So some of them were actually going to be coming back to America and some of them had never been to America. So it was just interesting kind of just sharing different things about, our different cultures or what have you. So that was a unique experience. I've had the opportunity with my own business, Kenneth Education LLC, to work with a couple of different campuses. One of the greatest things I had to do was work with a couple of campuses. So one of the main ones probably was an elementary school. So I was working with some students. There were consider them tier 2 or tier 3 students that generally have some behavior issues in class that ultimately affect their academics. So working with their teachers as well as them, because I'm very pretty much hands-on with my business and even working with parents. And I can remember one day, one of the kids I was working with, he just happened to come into the office where I was at that day, because I'd be up there, 2 or 3 days out the week. And he had the saddest little face, and he looked at me and he was like, Dr. K, all right, may have been in the second grade. He's like, Dr. K, can I eat my snack? And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, okay, it's like 2 p.m. You shouldn't have us. You shouldn't even be in here, first of all. But I went on and just let him sit down because I was just curious to see. So I didn't say anything. So he pulls out the biggest lunchable I've ever seen in my life. And I'm thinking to myself immediately, I know good and well that is not his lunchable. So I didn't say anything. So then he came, can you open it for me? I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm about to be complicit and open this lunchable that I'm pretty I don't even know how you got it in your backpack. It's so large, like a big lunch tray. Make a long story short, I was assistant to their shorthanded, so I just helped him out at the school. And he was may have been a third grade teacher. And it was during the bus dismissal. And I heard her saying, man, my lunch is gone today. I had a lunch somewhere in my room. And I just said, was it a Lunchable? She said, yes. I just shook my head. I was like, oh, Lord have mercy. So I told her about the lunch, but she had to laugh. They probably had like 10 teachers. They was all it made their day. They're kind of like one of those long days where, sometimes teachers just have some rough days, but they laughed about their probably for a good whole week. And I remember the next day I happened to see the student, and that same teacher happened to be by and said, hey, so-and-so, hey, what happened to that lunchable that you had? He literally looked at me and said, what are you talking about, Dr. K? I didn't have a lunchable. So,
oh my gosh, he knows how to gaslight. Wow.
I was just laughing. So eventually he owned up to it. But those are the things, and I enjoyed the job. That is so funny that, young people and students, like you never be amazed at some of the things that they say, but they truly appreciate when they see that you're in the trenches and you're there for them. So experiences like that, as far as with the Rosie Network, having the chance to work with wonderful individuals such as yourself, Keyani, I get a chance to talk to her all the time and hear all the wonderful things she's doing. But like yourself, Jen, we appreciate your podcast because you're actually going to be talking to some of our Services CEO alumni members actually tomorrow. So you're going to share with them during our Mentor Matters talk how important it is to make sure that you find mentors or find people, even if it's not in your industry or field, that you can learn from. And you're going to actually share with them the power and the leverage of utilizing podcasts such as yourself, because I'm amazed over the past year, we have individuals that are interested in doing podcasts. And when the times come to do the podcast with you, the list kind of dwindles. So I'm not sure.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So at least you're going to have a chance to share that, hey, you're missing an opportunity for free because you're not paying for this free airtime that you can actually have for your business. But we appreciate you, Jen, and you're going to be able to hopefully alleviate some of those fears that some of them may have, and they can actually see how it can help their business.
Okay. So my question is, considering that you both went through the Service CEO program, imagine being in their shoes and they get invited to be on a podcast and then they just ghost me. Like, what do you think's going on in their mind? Like, what do you think are the fears? Like, if you can even imagine. I'm just curious because I mean, I don't think I'm intimidating. Am I intimidating? Like, dude, I don't bite. I can't bite anyway. It's all virtual. So I guess I'm just curious to know if there is anything, just so I can have some material, for tomorrow. What if you guys can speculate? What do you think?
Do you want to start out first, Keyani?
I'll let you go.
If I had to say, I think in business, oftentimes some people think that whether they're selling a product or services, they feel that it has to be perfect and that they're so afraid to make a mistake and say the wrong thing. But you said something key, and I'm not sure if it was on before we started on here or not, but with storytelling. People always want to hear your story. So it's not too many things that are new under the sun. It's no different than I have a pen here. So if all of us had the same pretty much exact pen, why should somebody buy my pen? I mean, my story might very well be that, hey, I had to walk a mile a day when I was in school and I couldn't afford any pens. So, I had to, use a pencil. And the first time I had a pen, I cherished it so much that I, once the ink ran out, I kept it with me. People are compelled to stories. And I think sometimes some of the alumni, they don't realize that you don't have to be perfect. people, when they're buying their products, a lot of times they're buying because of you. They're looking at you're representing your brand, and they want to know what it is about you and what's unique, because you never know. Someone may have gone through some of the same things that you're doing. And sometimes people like mistakes. One of those things I've learned too, I don't have to be perfect. I may plenty of mistakes. I might fumble some things that I'm saying right here, or what have you. Usually I don't have, I'm not into that. I probably have to do a class on, hey, how to make sure that you don't have any shining or blood. Because anytime I've done anything like this, it's usually my mother or someone will always say, you take a rag and wipe over your face so it wouldn't be straight.
Yeah.
So even those little things, I was just sitting back laughing. I get careless, but so even some of those things like that, I might not have had a haircut, or I don't know, the right outfit. You would be surprised. Some people are just, because there just know things are going to be there probably for infinity, not knowing that whatever you do, it shows growth. So I mean, even if you do a podcast now and they look back later, people oftentimes want to be able to say, hey, you know what? I remember when you were laughing or something such happened, and tell me about it. And that might spark up a conversation to help. But I would say the main thing I think is bringing it home is not trying to worry about some probably thinking about being perfect and thinking about everything that can go wrong, as opposed to thinking about what can go right. So Frank, I'm already, some of these counseling classes are already working a little bit now. The outlook, always, looking at the perspective in a positive terms. I'm just joking, but having that positive mindset that they actually see something positive, and even if something might not go the way it needs to be, that at the end of the day, they have the courage. And if it's anything else, they have the courage to actually get on camera and talk and share about your business.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. Keyani, did you want to add anything to that?
I would pretty much probably say the same thing, just not understanding the value, really, not realizing, I think from a perspective of like, if you just started and like understanding like marketing and advertising and how this is a free resource of that, and how, it's already has its own platform, like just looking into what it already has and what they don't have to do to make their business be a certain way, because your platform already has it. Rosie already has it. And just, I think they don't realize that all of those things, like the marketing, the advertising, and how this could, be a whole different plateau to doing something else. Just those realizations that, this is a free resource that's, available to you. I don't think they think of that.
I mean, it could be that mentality that in the military, we get everything for free. So it's like, la-di-da, I don't want that. It's just like a buffet, pick what they want kind of thing, and maybe take it for granted. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but I do appreciate, you both sharing that insight. And I definitely understand the whole idea of like, oh, I shouldn't be on a media platform unless I have all my ducks in a row, unless like I 100% know my message. And I think that is the myth I hope that our show breaks, is that I've caught people at so many different parts of their journey, including myself. Like, I mean, this show first started out with an emphasis on military spouses. And actually, I've been going down memory lane lately because I've been working on a new project, which everyone will find out later. But it requires me going back to like old episodes. And it's interesting because, like I said, it first started out with like military spouses. And I just personally, for me, I loved witnessing the progress and the improvement and the refinement of my own journey as a podcaster. I started 5 years ago, and I didn't think that I would be here 200 plus episodes later,
right?
In partnership with the Rosie Network, like being able to chat with you both about this journey. And the thing is, it's like part of the success of an entrepreneur is like, I think it's about having that public, imperfect journey, because I think it adds to the growth, it adds to the accountability. And I think it adds to, I think it just really humanizes you. And I'd like to believe that our story is part of our product. It's part of our brand. And because otherwise they can just find something cheaper elsewhere. Like, there's way too many opportunities to find cheaper options. But what I think people will buy, the reason they buy your product is because they buy into you, like you said earlier, Ken. So I do appreciate you sharing that. And it's crazy because I've actually looked up a couple of people who in the earlier seasons, some of them are no longer in business. Some of them aren't even on social media. Some of them have like skyrocketed. Some of them have really blown up their brands. And it's just I think it's a beautiful thing because I think that as humans, we're not stagnant. We're not like just this one note, one dimensional of a being. Like we do grow, we do change. We're not the same as we were in school, you know, or I mean, Ken, you know, you're back in school. So I guess I can't really say much there. But the point is that it's, I do appreciate this, hopefully this encouragement, inspiration to let people know that, you know, you're right where you need to be on your journey right now. And we'd love to capture that moment. And we hope that it's something you'll appreciate down the line. It's like going through a photo album of the past. You know, it's like when Facebook does the on this day thing. And you're just like, oh, like you either are happy about it or you're not. But nonetheless, it's nice to see. It's nice to get like a reference point of, you know, who you were then and who you are now. And there's a lot of wisdom in looking back, I think.
It is, yeah.
And so, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
While I was thinking about it, because you just jogged my memory, because one of the things I love about your podcast is that you can go back and view. So like Keyani and myself and some others, we pretty much have weekly meetings. So even listening to her podcast, when I say I was beyond inspired to hear her journey, like had so much more respect for her and some of my fellow peers. You know, especially when you see people and knowing the resilience and the grit that individuals have gone through. Even when you do your snippets, I don't think people realize for those, hey, make sure Service CEO program graduates, you might want to get with Jen because you'll also get some gems from because you'll actually get some small snippets that you can actually utile. I've actually utilized some of the podcast clips that you provided, several of the short clips,
wonderful
preview prior to the episode, because what it allowed me to do was to share more when I'm putting in for contracts and they want to know who you work with, a little bit about yourself. So instead of me just kind of just blabbering, I'm able to put in the clip in those short clips, and those things have helped out. Matter of fact, even one of the shirts, because actually I was gifted this by one of the clients that I was working with. They were saying, hey, I saw the podcast and that led me to go look for some more, and I didn't realize you on some other things. And I said, oh man, that'd be cool if you had a bright shirt, because I didn't actually have my name on any of my shirts, and they actually put it on, and when they added the name to it, but and it was actually, so from your podcast, now I'm thinking about it, and I intentionally wore it so that person be like, hey, maybe it inspires some other people to get Jen and Keyani and myself, some other people, some shirts to help.
Yes.
I'm just joking, but so those are those small things. Well, no, I'm not joking, but
joking, not joking.
Yeah, but no. So those are the wonderful things, because think about it, I had a shirt someone saw and said, hey, you look nice. I want to get a brighter shirt for you. So they gifted that to me, but that would not have happened because they see me work with them in person. But when they saw the podcast, they were actually, hey, so there are so many things that you can just utilize the podcast and share. And if you don't do anything else, I would say this: share it with your children. Like, Keanu's son is going to grow up one day and he can see the wonderful things his mom did and have those memories for your parents and loved ones. So if you don't do it for anything else, at least you'll have something to be able to share with your family and loved ones about you. So when all those people say, I don't ever remember you having a business, say, well, go look at the clip.
You're like, here's evidence. Yes, I am a cool mom.
It wasn't just a hobby that I was just hanging out and doing. I was actually working.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. And really, I say this to a lot of the guests, even before we starting. I usually say, it's my goal to create the content that you want to share, because after the interview, I chop up the content. So it's just featuring you, I have enough of myself on camera. I'm fine. Like I do enough. I'm good. I don't have any ego about this, but like, that's my goal, is to be like, to me, the goal of a host is to bring out the best in you. So that I can just make it about you. I can just chop up your content for you and you can just run with it and see how, and hopefully give you the inspiration to do something similar yourself, to know like, oh, all it takes is I just talk on camera and then I can chop that up for social media. Like, that's it. It's tedious. I'll say that it's not as easy. Now it's very tedious, and there are programs out there that try to make it easy, and I can definitely talk about that at the workshop. But nonetheless, it's the way that I see marketing is it's like each piece of marketing is like a little salesperson going out there for you and like just doing the little drips, And that's what I love about it is like, and you can use it over and over and over again so that, you know, like Keyani, you don't have to keep inventing again and repeating again, you know, about your situation. It's like, hey, just watch these videos, just watch me answer these questions. And, you know, it's a way to duplicate yourself is how I see it. And so that's why it's like when people meet me for the first time, they're like, oh, I feel like I know everything about you. And I'm like, well, one, like, wow, like, thank you. But also it's like, wow, I'm so glad to have leveraged marketing so that like all of that, it did all the work for me. You know, it did all the work for me so that people come to me and they feel comfortable with me already. You know, they feel comfortable. They feel like they know me. And I think that is the benefit of podcasting, like via audio and video. You know, that's why I think it's okay to not be perfect because you're probably going to show up like this in person anyway. I mean, this is basically how I've been looking like all summer because I don't want to put my hair down. I'm like, this is what you're going to get. You know, like I just cannot do anything with my hair right now. I just keep sweating. And so it's awful. Like summer is not, I just don't like summer. Sorry, everyone. It's funny because this is going to come out in the fall. And then people are like, oh, it's actually chilly now. But anyway, I digress. Thank you both for sharing that and your insights on, you know, just sharing, speculating on why people don't get on a podcast show, and also hopefully inspiring people to want to be on a show. And, you know, like Scott and I, my husband and I see the Rosie Network and Stephanie Brown and Ebeth and Trisha and everyone as family. We've been part of the family for a very long time. And so I hope that there's that feeling of family, you know, like family when they come to the show. So I just, you know, we just need to keep, you know, getting them to warm up to the opportunity because like you both also said, it's free marketing. Like it's like free, like you're not hiring me to do your marketing. And yet here we are, my team is doing your marketing for you. Exactly. Like what better, right. I'm just saying like, what's a better deal than that? Like I'm not giving you a paycheck after the fact. I just, my goal in life is if you like, at least on the show, is if you really like what we created and you share it, like that fills up my heart. That means that, you know, we're doing something right, you know, and that's really my end goal here. So anyway, let's go ahead and shift gears here let's talk a little bit more about the Rosie Network now. I know we talked extensively of like why they should attend this workshop, but let's talk about your roles specifically and what's been going on. So Keyani, for people who don't know, tell us your involvement with the Rosie Network and what's been going on for you lately.
So I am a chapter lead. So I actually facilitate the classes and I do like 101. So they get the entrepreneurial work 12 weeks, but it's 8 modules. So they'll get their work. And so I'll send them their homework and we'll go through it. We'll work through it with the presenters. I usually, you know, allow for them, like, let's schedule 101s. Let's see where you at. Let's see what you have going on. Are you okay? You know, just trying to be a bunch of things at once, like their motivation, their mentor, their advisor, all of that in one, and just really just pushing them to like, if you can do it, you can do it, you know, make sure, you know, if all of these things are in place, then you'll be able to do that. I did venture over to the kidpreneur side for a little bit, and it's actually very rewarding because just to see like those little minds come up with some type of business or some little thing. I'll tell you one of the kids in particular, like I just absolutely love him, but I'm going to miss him because I went back to Surf CEO side, but he came up with like the smallest little thing. Like he knows how to change a tire. So he's just like, I was like, come on now. And then he
I don't know how to change a tire.
Right. And then, I think his dad or his brother, somebody taught him how to shovel snow because he lives in one of those areas where it snows all the time. So he just like walks. So he takes upon himself to walk to the neighbor's house and shovel the snow and then go let them know that he shoveled the snow and they'll pay him for it after. But he doesn't say, hey, do you want me to shovel this?
He just hey, he assumes the sale. Wow. Amazing. Impressive.
But, you know, just coming up with new things for them, like new ideas and not just, you know, kind of outside the box and being able to communicate, not with just them, with their parents. So just being able to actually be on both sides of it. I had opportunity to work closely with Ebeth on like a project with trying to work through how to recruit new people in to actually be a part of the program. So just actually being able to see so many sides of it. And I don't know at the time when I did my interview, had I golf tournament, but being able to participate and oh my God, that was like mind blowing. Like, I was like excited the whole time. Like, how are you excited to take somebody else's, like you're there for them. Like you're not actually golfing. You're but just to be, I was telling my mom the experience of being in the room with, or being in the space and the environment with so many people that have reached heights that I can like only imagine or strive for, like to see somebody hand you a black card and I've never even seen a black card before. I'm like, oh, this is a black card. Okay. So, but just to know that, they worked hard, they, stuck with it, they focused. So just like Rosie giving me those opportunities to be in the room with certain people, and even like the new entrepreneurs, like being able to meet some of them and being able, one of the other things that we do, like we have the opportunity to get on with each other's cohorts and do graduation practice and be there for the graduation. So you actually get to see not just your cohort's business unfold, but you actually get to be a part and participate in other cohorts and getting to know other cohorts unfold, and like to see their finished product after we've gone through this. Like you do your pitch and it's a practice, and then you're like, oh, I think you need to tweak like that. And then to see them like go back and change it, and they're not my people that I've constantly had to say, come on, but other people. It really feels good, like to just be able to work with not just my cohort, but other cohorts, and just sharing and helping each other. Just all about really just helping the entrepreneur, reach the highest steps that they can through the program, and just still being able to continue to be there for them afterwards. Cause I still communicate with some of mine through LinkedIn. And sometimes we'll just message or something like that. So it's just, I just like that opportunity of being able to be a part in so many different ways, and not just one way. It gives you like the opportunity to be a part in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I feel a lot of gratification coming from you in the way that you give to the Rosie Network, and you give to these kids and the cohort members. And it just sounds like in all this giving, there's so much reward in that, and seeing like the light bulbs turn on. Cause I was going to say, that sounds like a lot of work to like nudge people. It's like, hey, try it again, do it again, like just like what you do in cosmetology. It's like, it seems like there's some parallels going on here, but it sounds to me there's that light bulb moment that you get to witness. That's like, okay, that's worth it. Like that gives me the high to like get back into it and keep at it.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. Let me turn it over to Ken. Let us know, what do you do with the Rosie Network for people who don't know you, and how's it going?
Oh, definitely. I'm Ken. So at the Rosie Network, I'm the alumni chapter lead. So what that basically means is when all of our service to CEO alumni graduates finish, from the great facilitators and chapter leads such as Keyani and our other chapter leads, when they actually really do the very hard job. So once they get a chance to go through and learn about their business, I get a chance to listen to their final pitch deck, be a part of their graduation and their wonderful celebration as they're excited and moving on. And from there, they get a chance to transition. And what I do is I provide information for them. So I'm kind of like a resource and a connector, trying to connect them with, whether it be with opportunities where they might have pitch decks that are along in their fields that they can try to compete for cash, or whether it be for just additional resources, providing individuals that come in and speak. We've had people come in and speak on how to expand your brand, how to apply for grants, how to apply to get funding, whether you're going to be paying it back or for free. Individuals such as yourself, subject matter experts that are coming in. So I have the wonderful opportunity to reach out to the alumni members, find out what are the things that they're interested in. I can remember a couple of sessions ago, we had ChatGPT. So wonderful seeing how they can use ChatGPT, a few other AI sources to provide, whether it be with illustrations and other things, because many of our business owners are solopreneurs. So a lot of times you're a little bit of everything. You're the custodian, you're the secretary, so you're the accountant. So you're a little bit of everything. So we try to provide things that provide all of our alumni chapter members things that'll help them to get along with their business. Also providing meetups for them to know that, hey, stay encouraged. That even though you graduated the program, the great thing about our community is that, you have veterans entrepreneurs and spouses of veterans. So we're all pretty much aware of some of the things and the nuances that we have to deal with. So you have those encouragements. One of the, besides from working with your wonderful company, as far as with doing podcasts, we appreciate that. We also are partners with the Wounded Warrior Project. So we have several soldiers, that are getting off active duty and they don't know what they want to do. So a lot of them some of them are interested in entrepreneurship. So we're thankful to the Wounded Warrior Project, nonprofit organization, because they send a lot of individual referrals over to us. And upon graduating, the Wounded Warrior Project still provides opportunities for us. As a matter of fact, I have a meeting with one of the representatives tomorrow. So a lot of times I spend time talking to representatives, whether it be from the SBA, from the Small Business Association, from VBOP, for the Veteran Business Operations Center, and just communicating with them with things that are out there and providing them for our Services CEO graduates. I was going to ask you guys something, like, slightly off topic, but not off topic. I was sitting here thinking, I learned something new every time. Jen, I was looking at you and Keyani. I noticed y'all both had like headphone pieces. I was like, oh man, I need to make sure I'll make sure help you hear better. I said, the next time I need to make sure I have something too. So I don't know why I just noticed that. I'm like, oh Lord, I'm gonna look like that.
It's just, for me personally, it's just to hear better. But
okay. So I'm at the house by myself. So I guess I was like, okay, I guess if I have people, it's okay. So trying out the noise.
Yeah. See, that's another thing about my podcast show is I am not like incredibly strict about quality. I mean, I think it's still quality, but like my editor does a really great job. I mean, I did mess up this one time, but he does a great job making the audio sound like studio sound. So thank you, Dennis. Yeah. And so if I actually couldn't hear you and you were really choppy or was very airy or echoey, I would have said something, but it was fine. That's what the small talk is at the beginning, is so I can hear everyone's like audio. So fun fact.
That's good to know. I know for a fact at least one person is going to watch this video. So I'm going to say it ahead of time. Well, they'll probably, if they don't see the clip ahead of time, they're going to ask me once they see this, hey, were you supposed to? I don't know. It's ceases to me. I know one person's going to say, "Hey, why you didn't have headphones on?"
Your mom comes to, where was she?
Yeah, somebody. Look, my mom. Someone probably my daughter. Like, oh, why you have your headphones on?
Someone's going to say something. You know what?
Things like that. That's the reason to be on a podcast, because even if you're someone that's always serious, it gives you something to laugh about. Or what have you, and then it has people might see you in a different light, because some are. Entrepreneurs might probably very well be, introverts and really don't get a chance to really speak. But if you have at least, you just the smallest little things, and people get a chance to see your personality and seeing that you're not kind of like a robot, but seeing your authentic self goes a long way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to sell it very hard too. Because I was
going to say, I was like, you're doing my job for me.
We're trying to sell it because I know for a fact, I know plenty of entrepreneurs that have never been in the military that know about our program. You would probably have a list of 1,000 people ready to go, get there. So veterans, keep that in mind. I'm so serious about that. We're so blessed to have these opportunities, because I really, at least 20 people, literally, not me exaggerate, would love to hop on Jen's podcast that are not veterans, because I had some people laugh and say, oh, I guess I need to go marry a veteran. I said,
I'll share a quick story. So I had this one lady, this was years ago. I tried to look her up. She's not online anymore. So for the many people I've looked up. So she really had to run it by her ex-husband that she could be a guest on the show, because she's basically like she was an ex-military spouse. She wanted to make sure it was like okay, or like they weren't divorced, they were like separated. But that was like her in. That was trying her way to get into the show. And looking back, you learn a lot looking back. And one of the things I learned was like, yeah, I probably should have said no, because everything she talked about was like in no relation to serving the military community. She just had that connection, but she was really just promoting her business. And when I re-listened to it, it's like nothing was said there. I mean, she kind of was like, oh yeah, this could be for military spouses. Like it was kind of like that. It was just like trying to check it off her list, but she really wasn't like targeting. So you go back and I look back at those interviews. I'm like, I mean, there's still ways to repurpose it. That's one thing I'm learning too, which is another thing I could probably talk a lot about in the future if anyone ever asked me about marketing. But yeah, just looking back, it's like, yeah, maybe I was just a little too nice and said yes to everyone to come on the show. And now the relief for me in partnering with the Rosie Network is like, I know that everyone who goes to the Rosie Network is vetted. And I for the most part, I prefer people who graduated the program because you've been through something, you've been through something with a cohort. And you stuck it out, even if for whatever reason you end up like not pursuing that business, which is hard not to because you'll have a pitch deck at the end of it. So you might as well try for a couple months. But, other than that, it's like, I love the quality of people that the Rosie Network vets and most importantly, like takes through this journey, the Service to CEO program and everything. So I don't know how I went down that rabbit hole, but what were we talking about? How did we get there?
The opportunity that some of our alumni are not taking that civilians would love to do.
Yes,
they really would. Yeah.
Let me tell you, because I'm not like, I don't consider myself like a podcasting veteran, but I have been in the space for like 5 years, and there are people who will go through these media companies, like these PR companies, just to help them get on podcast shows. Yeah. Like it's a whole business. I'll tell you that. It's a whole business. Yeah. There's a whole online, there's like programs you can sign up for to just be found. And so
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I love about the bubble we have here with the military community. And the thing is like, it's reciprocal, like just like what you were talking about, Keyani, like what you give to the Rosie Network, like you get a lot in gratification and whatever else you get from that. And I feel that way too, in the way that my husband and I like give to the Rosie Network and the military community as a whole. So it's very, very mutual. And I'm just glad to have been born into this community and to even be with my husband and work in this space. Cause you step outside into the civilian world, as I'm sure, you all can relate to, and it's a little different, Yeah, it's kind of like, dog eat dog, and it's very individualistic. It's very like, it's different. Here, there's like that sense of, there's that common sense of, serving for the greater good and thinking, not less of yourself, but more of others. Yeah. And I just love, personally for me, I just love that, I love being associated with service-oriented people. Like that's just me. So yeah. Well, I mean, I just want to make sure I'm being thorough here. Is there anything else that either of you want to share, whether it's about business or the Rosie Network, before I wrap up here? Keyani, let's start with you.
I would say for anybody that is listening to this podcast, that if you have not signed up to participate in both Rosie Network and on the podcast, you're missing out. Like you're wasting a free opportunity. And like Ken said, there's so many civilians that have to pay for a lot of these opportunities. Mm-hmm. And in our community, I'm finding more and more as I dig deeper into veteran and military, type entrepreneurial stuff. There's so many resources available that we don't use that civilians have to pay for. And so, take this opportunity. Don't miss out on this opportunity. If Ken or anybody else sends your name up, and you get an email, respond back to Jen and just let her know. Have a conversation with her before you just completely just say, I don't want to do it. Like, respond to the email and just say, hey, can we chat for a few minutes and get comfortable first, if that's what it takes. And then, go from there. I promise you won't regret it. And, sign up for the Rosie Network, go through Service to CEO. I will tell you, it's like nothing else you've ever done, any other entrepreneurial program you've done before. So it's worth it. They'll continue to support you no matter what. So.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Keyani. I do want to share that for this particular season that this episode is coming out, it's actually going to be a shorter season. Normally I try to go for 13 weeks, but there were some spots that weren't filled. And my mentality was like, oh, great. I get to celebrate winter early. I get to celebrate the holidays early. I have no complaints, just so you know. But more importantly, to anyone who, did get an email from us or did get an email from me, an invite, and you're hearing this interview and you're kind of regretting that you didn't respond, that email is still there in your inbox. You can still reply and reach out, because usually before I start every season, I do like a mass email of all the people who hadn't responded yet. I kind of go up to like 3 tries. I try to like ping them 3 times till it's like, okay, they're definitely just like pretending I don't exist, or I'm in their spam email, like whatever. It's fine. It's a numbers game. That's what we learn in sales. You just got to go through the numbers. It's totally fine. It's just that I feel like for the entrepreneur, you rob yourself of a marketing opportunity. Mm-hmm. That's what you're doing. Because again, I'm going to have a shorter season. I'm excited about it, but I would have gone the 13 weeks had more people reached out. I would have done that. That was my plan, and that's what we've done for these last 2 seasons. But it's okay because I have a whole other project for the show that I kind of teased earlier that I'm not going to reveal now, but it's going to give me time to work on it.
Good.
Yeah. So Ken, same question to you. In closing, any final thoughts you want to share about, your business or anything about the Rosie Network before we go?
Yeah, I guess the final thoughts. First of all, I want to say, look, it's always wonderful to see Keyani. Look, we work together, and I'm not just saying it because she's on the podcast, but she's also a great leader. So I've had a chance to see her in action, talk, and the way she handles things. So not only is she a great entrepreneur, a great leader, great communicator, and she goes out her way to help fellow veterans going through the program, as well as our other lead facilitators, and very thankful for you and your husband providing this free opportunity for individuals. And, thankful for Stephanie Brown, our CEO of the Rosie Network, and all the other staff members. And believe it or not, the Rosie Network was actually one of the first individuals that provided me a opportunity to work, because even though me and Keyani work with the Rosie Network, we're working under our company, on our own company. So that's one of the things that we appreciate with the Rosie Network. And that was one of the things that they saw, that when they had additional things, I was like, podcast, whatever it is, I was volunteering, and they saw individuals, willing to get out, me willing to get out there and put myself out there and talk and communicate. So even with that, you just never know the opportunities that they bring to you or what have you. And look, I was going to say, look, this isn't a dating show, but look, I've gone to several events in the military with entrepreneurs, and someone will bring up you always have a good old veteran bring up a question. And then I have people saying, I always hear somebody saying, I guess I need to marry me a veteran. It'd be me and everyone like, I need to find veterans in the room. I'm not married like you two. I always kind of like, let me.
Ken single is what he's saying.
Yeah, I don't think I better say how do young people say, I don't know you like that. So, so I try to be like, let me just be quiet. I'm joking, but yeah. So you never know. Hey, for those that you are seeing, you go look. You have plenty of people out there. I'm joking, but seriously, you got individuals that would love the opportunity as far as with the benefits that we have as veterans. So please take advantage. Like Jen said, you have people that are actually paying people to try to get them on podcasts. Mm-hmm. So anytime you can have anything that can save your business some overhead, and you get in marketing, you get a chance to repurpose it. Like you said, you can't beat it. So I'm just very thankful just to be a part of this podcast and program again with Holding Down the Fort.
Yes. Oh, well, yeah, no, thank you both. It just fills me up to have these conversations. That's why, we do it. And here we are, 200 plus episodes strong. So thank you both for helping out with that, for being on the show, and for contributing by encouraging Service as CEO graduates to be on the show, because I don't know what I would be doing without the Rosie Network right now. I'm sure I'd probably be on one of those sites just trying to find guests still, or on Instagram searching hashtags and trying to prospect people that way, which is what that's actually how it started. Going through hashtags, fun fact. But I'm good. I don't want to do that anymore. To me, the Rosie Network feels like a relative. It feels like, people I can come to and trust, and know that anyone you recommend my way, it's going to be a good conversation. So thank you both for being a part of that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Keyani and Ken, for joining me. I'm so glad that you two already knew each other. I thought in the back of my mind, I was like, do they know each other? So I'm glad. I think it made for a great conversation. And I hope that for our listeners, for anyone who still has my email in your inbox and unresponded, here's your chance for a limited time. No, I'm kidding. We'll be around for as long as the show is going to be around. I'll probably respond to your email. I'll likely respond to your email. But yes, thank you both. And thank you to the Rosie Network. Thank you to Stephanie and to the whole team. And yeah, thanks for just checking in with me, guys. I really appreciate it. And I think that's it. I never know how to conclude this. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. And to our listeners, thank you for listening. We'll chat with you in the next episode. Tune in next time. Hey there. This is your host, Jen Amos. Thanks again for listening to today's episode of Holding Down the Fort by US VetWealth. Visit holdingdownthefortpodcast.com to access the full show notes of this episode, including resources mentioned and bonus content. Once again, the website is holdingdownthefortpodcast.com. Lastly, stay after the outro for a little something extra. Thanks again, and chat soon. Bye for now. All right, everyone, thanks for joining me in the outro. This will be my second to last outro before the season finale. I mean, I don't think in the season finale I'll have an outro. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out when we get there. I have a very build as I go mentality. But yeah, this was a great conversation to reconnect with Keyani and Ken because they have been, as I mentioned already, they've been very pivotal in getting guests on the show. And you listened in on the hints as to why this is a shorter season. And my hope is if you are a Service to CEO graduate, and maybe you did get that invitation to be a guest on the show, and maybe you just put it off or you forgot about it or life happened, all the things, but you remember that you got that email from either Keyani or Ken or myself or someone from the Rosie Network. And you have a business that you're proud of and you want to talk about it and you want to promote it. Well, that's what the show is for. Holding down the fort. I have thoroughly enjoyed our partnership with the Rosie Network. It's been it's made my work easier as a podcaster that hosts an interview style show to have these vetted guests, talk legitimately about their military background and also their entrepreneurial journey. And it's all good stuff. So I just want to thank the Rosie Network again for the collaboration. And thank you, Keyani and Ken, for, really being behind the scenes and helping me corral some graduates to be on the show. And also, obviously to Trisha and to Ebeth and to everyone that has been Stephanie Brown, obviously founder of the Rosie Network. It takes a village. It takes a village to, care for our military community and to promote them and to show the world, you, the listener or the viewer on YouTube, the amazing things that our military connected people, our military service members, our military spouses, our military community is doing beyond the military, or alongside their military service. All good stuff. So thank you to Keyani and Ken again. Check out their episodes. I'll put it in the show notes. I already mentioned it at the beginning. And with that, I will see you all in the season finale of season 9 next week. So see you then. Bye for now.